Growing old is something we all think about. Sooner or later, it creeps into our lives slowly, gently at first, a few more aches in the morning, a little more gray in the mirror, a few names we struggle to recall. But then it settles in, and we begin to feel it in our bones, in our days, and sometimes even in our spirit. For some, aging is welcomed as a badge of honor. For others, it's feared. Our culture teaches us to chase youth, to hide our wrinkles, to resist the passing of time. But the Bible tells a different story, one filled with beauty, dignity, and divine purpose. You see, growing old is not a mistake. It's not a punishment. It's not the beginning of being forgotten. No, it's a sacred chapter, one written by the hand of God Himself. If you're listening to this right now and your hair has turned white, your steps have slowed, and your hands bear the marks of a life lived fully, then hear this. You are not less valuable. You are not invisible. You are standing in a place of honor, a place where heaven leans in and calls you blessed. We often think that usefulness ends with youth, that when our children leave and our careers slow down, our meaning fades too. But in God's eyes, age is not the end, it's an invitation to deeper wisdom, greater faith, and quiet strength. It's a time when your voice, even if softer, carries more weight than ever before, because it carries experience. It carries stories. It carries the faith that has weathered the storms of life and still sings praises. So today, I want to talk with you, not as a teacher to a student, not as someone younger trying to explain your years to you, but as a friend who believes with all my heart that God is still working in you and through you. I want us to take a gentle walk together through the pages of Scripture and discover 10 truths about aging that might just change the way you see yourself. You may not move as fast as you once did, but you are still moving forward. And where you're going in this sacred season might just be the holiest ground you've ever walked. Section 1. Gray hair is a crown of glory. Proverbs 16:31. I want you to take a moment and think about your reflection, not the one the world shows you, but the one God sees, that silver in your hair. It's not something to dye away or hide under a hat. No, the Bible calls it a crown of glory. That's not just poetic language, it's God's way of telling you that you have lived, endured, and become someone shaped by grace. Proverbs 16:31 says, "Gray hair is a crown of splendor. It is attained in the way of righteousness." Now, that doesn't mean you've had a perfect life. None of us have. But it means that through the years, through joy and pain, laughter and loss, you've chosen again and again to walk the path that leads toward God. And that journey has changed you. It has softened some things, maybe hardened others. But through it all, you've grown wise. When the world looks at age, it often sees something to push aside. But when heaven looks at age, it sees a living testimony. Your gray hair speaks of battles fought and faith refined. It tells a story the young cannot yet understand. You've walked roads they haven't walked, prayed prayers they haven't prayed, held on when everything told you to let go. So don't let the mirror lie to you, and don't let the world convince you that growing old is something to be ashamed of. Your gray hair isn't just a sign of years gone by. It's a mark of honor. It's your spiritual crown. And every strand of silver is a line in a love story between you and your Creator. Section 2. Old age still bears fruit. Psalm 12:14. Let me tell you something beautiful. You're not done, not even close. Maybe you've retired. Maybe the phone doesn't ring like it used to. Maybe you find yourself sitting quietly more often than speaking up. But I want to remind you, God never puts His people on a shelf. In Psalm 92, there's this wonderful promise. They will still bear fruit in old age. They will stay fresh and green, proclaiming, "The Lord is upright. He is my rock, and there is no wickedness in Him." Did you catch that? Still bear fruit, not in your 20s, not just in your prime, but in your later years. We live in a world that says you've got to do it all while you're young. But the Bible flips that idea upside down. God says your purpose doesn't expire. In fact, some of your most important work, your most lasting impact may come now. The words you share, the prayers you pray, the faith you model, these things are eternal, and they matter. You may not be able to build like you once did, or travel as far, or lift what you used to lift. But the fruits of the Spirit, love, joy, peace, patience, kindness, these are things that only grow richer with time, only deepen with wisdom. You are still a branch connected to the vine, and as long as you draw breath, God is still pouring life through you. So don't ask, "What can I still do?" Ask instead, "What is God still growing in me?" Because make no mistake, my friend, He is. Section 3. Honor your father and mother. Exodus 20:12. You've spent a lifetime giving, raising children, caring for loved ones, sacrificing when no one saw, doing what needed to be done, whether it was easy or not. And maybe now, in these later years, you wonder if anyone remembers, if anyone sees you, if the world still cares. But God does, and He's made it clear just how deeply He values you. In Exodus 20:12, the Lord commands, "Honor your father and your mother, so that you may live long in the land the Lord your God is giving you." Notice, it's not a suggestion. It's not a seasonal thing. It's one of the 10 Commandments. That means it's eternal, foundational, holy. God built it into the very fabric of how we are to live together. Why? Because here He knows how easy it is for people to forget those who came before them. But He hasn't forgotten you, not for 1 second. I know some of you have children or grandchildren who rarely call. I know some of you feel pushed aside by a fast-moving world that seems obsessed with the next new thing. But hear me when I say this, your worth is not defined by how often others notice you. Your dignity is not measured by who remembers to visit. It's sealed in the heart of God, who declared from the beginning that you are to be honored. And to those who do honor their elders, who care for aging parents, who listen to their stories instead of rushing them, God gives a promise, a long, blessed life in return. So, if you're wondering whether you still matter, if you still have a place in this world, remember, this God has commanded honor for you. You are not forgotten. You are cherished by heaven. Section 4. Wisdom is with the aged Job. 12:12. Let's be honest. There's a difference between knowledge and wisdom. Knowledge can be gathered from books and the internet, but wisdom, that comes from life, from walking through the fire and still choosing to forgive, from standing beside a hospital bed and praying anyway, from losing someone you love and still believing God is good. Job 12:12 says it best, "Is not wisdom found among the aged? Does not long life bring understanding?" That's you. You are the ones who remember life before screens and noise, before speed replaced stillness. You remember when people looked one another in the eye and meant what they said. You've lived through wars, through loss, through change. You've watched the world shift, sometimes too quickly. And yet, you've remained rooted, grounded, faithful. The young have their energy, yes, but you have perspective, and that is priceless. Your experiences carry truths that no textbook can teach. And when you speak, if others are wise, they'll listen, because your words come from deep places of prayer, of patience, of long nights, and hard-earned hope. So don't be afraid to speak. Don't tell yourself your time has passed or your wisdom is outdated. You are the living library of God's faithfulness. And someone, maybe a neighbor, maybe a grandchild, maybe a stranger on a bench, is waiting to hear what you've learned. You are not just a memory of the past. You are a voice for the present, a quiet, steady guide for those still learning what it means to live with grace. Section 5. God carries you, even now. Isaiah 46:4. Let me ask you something tender. Have you ever felt like the weight of everything got heavier with age? Not just the physical aches or the slower mornings, but the invisible weight memories that linger, losses that stack up quietly, questions that don't always have answers. Maybe you find yourself whispering things like, "I'm not as strong as I used to be," or "I don't want to be a burden." But the truth is, you've never carried yourself. Not really. It's always been God. Isaiah 46:4 is one of those verses I wish we could all wake up to every morning. It says, "Even to your old age and gray hairs, I am He. I am He who will sustain you. I have made you, and I will carry you. I will sustain you, and I will rescue you." Think about that. God doesn't step back when our steps slow down. He doesn't say, "Well, you've had your time. Now it's up to others." No. He says, "I will carry you." The same arms that held you when you were young are still beneath you today. The same hands that shaped your heart in your youth now hold it with even greater tenderness. You are not too old for God's strength. You are not too worn for His care. You are not outside His reach, not now, not ever. I know some of you have lost people. Some of you live alone. Some of you walk into rooms and forget why you came in. But you are not forgotten. Your name is still written on the palm of His hand. And when your body feels frail, when your heart feels tired, when the world moves too fast, He is there, steady, faithful, gentle. Let Him carry you. You don't have to hold everything up anymore. Just rest in the truth that He still holds you. Section 6. You are called to lead by example. Titus 2:2-3. When you hear the word leader, what picture comes to mind? Maybe someone standing at a podium, maybe a teacher in front of a classroom, maybe someone younger, louder, more full of energy. But the Bible doesn't define leadership by position. It defines it by presence. And that, my dear friend, is something you have in abundance. In Titus 2:2-3, Paul writes, "Teach the older men to be temperate, worthy of respect, self-controlled, and sound in faith, in love, and in endurance. Likewise, teach the older women to be reverent in the way they live, to teach what is good. You are not just allowed to lead, you are called to it. You've lived through storms and survived them. You've loved deeply, lost painfully, prayed without answers, and praised anyway. That makes you more than experienced. That makes you wise. And that kind of wisdom, it's meant to be shared. This world is hungry for guidance. The younger generations may seem distant, but they are watching. They notice how you speak, how you forgive, how you carry yourself through grief, how you handle disappointment, how you keep faith when it would be easier not to. They don't need perfection. They need your presence. You might not teach a class or preach a sermon, but your life is a lesson. Every choice you've made, every quiet act of love, every moment you've chosen patience over anger, that's leadership, that's influence, that's ministry. So don't shrink back. You are still a lighthouse. Your example is still shining, and someone, somewhere, is following your light. Section 7. Aging is part of God's plan. Ecclesiastes 3:1. Do you ever sit by the window, watch the seasons shift, and feel time move in your bones? Spring brings the blossoms, summer hums with life, autumn colors the trees with gold, and winter whispers of quiet things. And just like that, we find ourselves in a new chapter, not lesser, not forgotten, but simply different. There's a reason why Ecclesiastes 3:1 speaks so deeply to the soul. There is a time for everything and a season for every activity under the heavens. That includes this time. This season you're in now, yes. Even this is part of the rhythm God Himself designed. Aging isn't a detour. It's not a pause in the plan. It's the next verse in the melody, the next chapter in a story that hasn't stopped unfolding. And just like the trees in autumn, even when the leaves fall, the beauty remains. In fact, some would say it's in that season when the soul shines brightest, when the noise quiets down, and what really matters begins to rise to the surface. You've spent years doing for others, rushing, building, providing. Now God may be inviting you into a season of stillness, not to sit idle, but to reflect more deeply, to listen more closely, to be with Him in ways you couldn't when life was full of busyness. This is not the end of your usefulness. It's the beginning of a sacred slowing. And in this slower rhythm, God speaks with a voice that's clearer, deeper, more personal. The season you're in is holy ground. Don't rush it. Don't resist it. Lean into it. Trust that God is still writing your story, one gentle, glorious season at a time. Section 8. The inner self is renewed daily. 2 Corinthians 4:16. Now I want to talk to those of you who feel it most in your knees, your back, your memory. Those of you who whisper, I'm not who I used to be. And I want to tell you, gently but firmly, maybe not on the outside, but inside. You are becoming more alive than ever. Paul says in 2 Corinthians 4:16, though outwardly we are wasting away, yet inwardly we are being renewed day by day. Isn't that beautiful? It acknowledges the truth of what we feel, that the body does wear down, but it also speaks a deeper truth. Your spirit is not fading. It's being renewed day by day, breath by breath. You may not walk as far as you once did, but your faith can stretch wider. Your hands may not be as steady, but your prayers, they can shake the heavens. Your eyes may tire, but your vision for eternity can grow clearer. This world puts so much value on youth, on tight skin, quick minds, strong limbs, but God values what's inward, the character that's been shaped by 1,000 sunrises and just as many storms, the heart that's learned to love deeply, the soul that's learned to trust when there were no answers. That's the kind of beauty that never fades. So don't let the mirror tell the whole story. Don't let the creaks and the cracks fool you. Inside of you, something sacred is still unfolding, something fresh, something eternal. You are not withering, you are awakening. God is still at work, making you new from the inside out. And one day, when this earthly tent finally gives way, you'll step into the fullness of that renewal. But even now, here, today, your spirit is more alive than it's ever been. Section 9. Declare God's power to the next generation. Psalm 71:18. Do you remember the first time you truly felt God's presence? Maybe it was a quiet moment alone. Maybe it was during a hymn that brought tears to your eyes. Or maybe it was in the middle of heartbreak, when all you had left was prayer. Whatever that moment was, it shaped you. It became part of your testimony. And now, someone else needs to hear it. Psalm 71:18 says, "Even when I am old and gray, do not forsake me, my God, till I declare your power to the next generation, your mighty acts to all who are to come." That verse, it's not just a cry to be remembered, it's a calling, a mission. It says, "Lord, let me live long enough to tell my story, to pass it on, to hand down what you've done for me." You may not feel like a preacher, you may not think you have anything new to say, but your story is a gift. You've lived through seasons where God showed up in quiet, powerful ways, and that story can be the very thing that helps someone younger keep believing. Your grandchildren, your neighbor, even that young caregiver who helps you once a week, they need to hear about the time you trusted God and He made a way, about the prayer He answered when you were sure it was too late, about the time you failed and He forgave you anyway. Your voice doesn't have to be loud. It just needs to be willing. And you know what? Sometimes the most powerful sermons are whispered across a kitchen table, or told during a walk through the garden, or written in a letter that's tucked into a Bible. Those moments matter because they carry God's power through your life into someone else's. You're not just a witness of the past, you're a messenger of the present. You still have something to say. Don't let it stay unspoken. Section 10. God is not done with you. Let me close with something I hope sinks deep into your heart. You are still here because God is still working. I don't care if you're 65 or 95, if you have breath in your lungs. God has purpose for your life. He didn't bring you through all these years just to sit quietly in the background. He brought you through because your presence matters. Your prayers matter. Your wisdom matters. You matter. We sometimes think of aging as a fading away, but in God's eyes, it's a shining forth. The world may see your body slowing down, but heaven sees your spirit lighting up. Think about that. You are not on the sidelines. You are in the center of a sacred calling to live out these years with faith, to pass on your legacy of love, to model grace, patience, and endurance for everyone watching. And someone is watching. Whether it's your child, a friend, or a young soul who doesn't yet know what it means to walk with God through the long seasons you are teaching them, with every quiet act of courage, every soft word of wisdom, every moment you choose kindness over complaint. So please don't believe the lie that your time has passed. You are not in life's final act. You are in the most seasoned part of your story, the part where everything you've lived and learned comes together and begins to pour out in ways that bless others. God is not finished with you. He is still writing, and the ink of these years is golden. Conclusion. If you've listened this far, let me say something personal to you. Thank you. Not just for listening, but for living, for showing up each day, even when it's hard, for continuing to breathe, to pray, to hope, for waking up this morning, even if the joints are stiff, even if the house is quiet, even if the world feels a little smaller than it used to. You're still here, and that matters. You see, the world might rush past you, forget to hold the door open, forget to call, forget to say thank you, but God never forgets. In His eyes, you are still His beloved child, not less than before, not sidelined, but right in the center of His heart. You've walked through things that would have broken others. You've seen change that would have shaken the strongest. You've buried people you loved, said goodbye to places that held your memories, and kept going. That, my friend, is not weakness. That is faith. That is strength. That is the mark of someone who walks hand in hand with the eternal. And maybe your steps are slower now. Maybe the days stretch a little longer, but that doesn't mean they're empty. These years, this season you're in, it's not the leftover part of life. It's the sacred part, the deep waters, the still ground where God speaks in whispers, and you've learned how to hear Him better than ever before. So lean in. Trust that you're not just aging, you're deepening. You're ripening in wisdom. You're shining in ways the world can't measure. And you're not alone. The God who knit you together in your mother's womb is the same God who walks beside you now, the same one who will carry you the rest of the way home. You are not forgotten. You are not finished, and you are not too old for miracles. So, tell your story. Say your prayers. Keep loving. Keep listening. Keep showing up. And when the days feel long, when the body feels tired, when the mirror doesn't reflect how young you feel inside, remember, you are crowned with glory. You are fruitful in spirit. You are a living testimony of God's faithfulness. You are, and always will be, deeply, wonderfully, and eternally loved.